You're going to be in a whole different league next year, pal. I've been telling
Yeah,
you.
I keep hearing that every year, and then the same old same. I'll lay down a scorching first round, and
Actually, that was wild. We played our tour championship for the jacket, and like he literally
uh,
lays down a career best
yeah, I
at
shot an 80 on day one,
like.
and I'm like, all right,
Well,
come
how the
get
fuck do you?
it.
How do I come back from that? Like I've never broke 80 down there. I've only shot 80 down there once, and it's like,
Were were
how
you
do you come back?
scoreboard watching at our tour championship?
Nope.
No,
Hmm. Because like
I did hear that you said there was like some massive blowouts, but
the biggest sandbagger of the week was my husband.
yeah, didn't he win by like a ton?
He went out. I just pulled up the scores here. Day one shoots a 77 in the sea flight
Oh no, yeah, I would have been pissed.
and is winning by 7 after round one. And then sorry, 84, 82, 82. Like these are what was the score in the B flight? Like he literally would have got second place in the B flight. Sorry, third place. Like
Dang.
he was that close. And yeah, so he won by 17 strokes over the second place person. And the second place person won by 16 strokes over the third place person.
Oh man,
So
I
like
totally could compete in
from
that.
third to 10th, we all were like very clearly in the C flight, but like Chris and Cody were in their own little like B plus flight or something.
E
It's
plus plus.
bullshit.
I've done that to him on our tour now. Like I did that for our major this year. I laid down a first round that like, and then last year at Cottonwood, I think it was our was it the no, it wasn't our major because Clark won the major. It was the tour championship again. I went out and I shot a 69 on the first day on a par 66, and it was just like, good luck beating me tomorrow.
So, but you say that it was kind of funny because it was a 2 day event and he shoots a 69 on day one.
Yeah,
Well, day two on the front nine, I go out and shoot one under.
yeah. And then what happened?
And then I shot 12 over on the
Then your handicap happened. Well, that happened. So Chris Nelson, who we talked about, won the Order of Merit this year in full. He did that at Copper Point. On the front nine at Copper, he even though that one is also Stableford, he was 1 or 2 under in the
Damn.
front nine. Yeah.
Again, when we played Mickelson, it was a bad day because it was raining, and it was wet. But I was prepped. Strathmore prepped me for Mickelson. I got to give even though it was a miserable day for me, I got to give it credit for getting me prepped. And I was doing okay through because it was a shotgun start, so
Oh, and it was nasty out there.
it was kind of nasty. And I was doing okay. The last hole we played was a par five,
Yeah, it was
and
the first hole I played.
and
And
I'm like,
it's
Alvin,
not
if
close
you
to the clubhouse.
no, it's not. And if you can get, I was thinking in my head like, but it started to really come down 2 holes before,
Yes.
right? It really started to the skies opened up, and I managed to par in the downpour.
Was that that was 10, right?
10.
Yeah.
10.
Right, I managed to par it, and I was like, oh geez, Al, like if you can get into par bogey range on the last hole, you're going to shoot like low, maybe mid 90s, and take that as a win.
In that weather, for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
that was sideways.
I got the tee box on the last hole, and when I say I have never hit a bad drive shot like that in my even when I didn't play golf, but my hands were so wet, everything was so wet that when I hit the drive, I lost the club, and the only thing that held the driver was 2 fingers. That was all I had left on the driver after I hit my shot, and the ball did this banana slice like out into the fescule, and I'm like, oh fuck, that is not what you needed. I'm like, okay, it's a 3-shot hole, maybe a 4, and I mean literally, I can't see what's happening because it's raining so bad.
And that's a long hole.
Yeah, so I tried to hit it back into play, and I didn't make that happen. And then I hit another shot, get it back into the fairway, and I'm in like I took my 3-wood out, and I was like, okay, Alvin, this is the best club you have in the bag, 3-wood. You love it. I hit the worst snap slice ever with that club and put it OB. And I'm already laying like 4. And I hit that shot OB and I'm like, Well, here it fucking is. Here it is, Alvin. You totally fucked this hole up. I took an 11 on the last hole.
11
And
on 11.
I was doing so well, right? And you get and talk about not wanting to put a scorecard. I have never in my life, even when I didn't play golf or played shitty golf, I have never put an 11 on a scorecard for a par 5, ever. But I did that day on the last hole I played.
And it's funny because the last hole we played was 10. I hit an absolute perfect approach shot, birdied it. But the problem with I actually played really well because I played really well in shitty conditions because I'm just just try and play for bogey golf. That's all you got to do. You don't have to do anything crazy.
No expectations.
Everybody else is just going to fall apart because they're going to start shitting their pants because it's raining outside and they're like, oh, I hate it. But you can't control it. So you just got to embrace it. And my worst hole was, I can't remember what freaking par 3 it was. I had such a good round going and I ended up taking it. I put it in the bunker. I lifted my head before I even got through contact, sculled it into the water, it hit in 4, and then I made a shitty chip, and then I end up with a 7 on a par 3. And I'm just like, well, that was really an unnecessary quadruple bogey. And I mean, I think I was, because what was the playoff there? An 83, I want to say. I think it was an 83, and I want to say I shot an 88. So I was, I think, 5 strokes back. And I'm just, I remember thinking to myself after, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. It's a shitty hole. But I'm like, for your first time coming out here in shitty conditions, if you would have reined in one hole, you could have been right there. Because it was the one guy that was in our group actually ended up in the playoff and he lost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't feel like the guys I played with were like
it was a playoff
that much
was
better
85.
than me.
Yeah, and you were 88.
Yeah, so there you go.
If you would have parred that par 3, you would have won.
Yeah,
there would have been no
yeah.
playoff.
So there you go. I lost the shot a little bit, right? But I mean, it is what it is. But I've never taken a 7 on a par 3. Like that was just it was just a case of a little bit of nerves maybe, and just a downhill lie towards the water. But I remember that, and I remember finishing with my 88, and I'm just like, man, you played so well in the shit. And I didn't hit a single driver that day because I went in with a game plan because my driver was shit. And I'm like, I'm not even using a driver. I will use the 5 hybrid max off the tee box. And that's what I did all day. I stuck to my game plan and I made a couple bad strokes. But I mean, when I seen Alvin in the parking lot, I'm like, well, how'd you do? And he's like, would you shoot 100 or something, or 99 or whatever
Something
it was?
like that,
and he's like, how about you? I'm like, I shot an 88. And he's like, an 88? And I'm like, yeah? He's like, how the fuck did you shoot an 88? I'm like, I don't know. I just shot an 88. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the sea flight actually that day, like pulling up these scores. Like I love tournaments when this kind of stuff happens because it's like a point of pride. I don't like sand. Like as much as we bug Blair, he's not actually a sandbagger.
No, we just like to rattle him a little bit.
So if
Absolutely.
he's listening to this point in the podcast, good for you, Blair.
He's still listening. I'd like to think that he knows that about how much I razz him, but like this is where I know that like these flights are exactly where they're supposed to be. That day in the sea flight between 85 and 90, 5 strokes.
Yep.
We have 12 people.
Yep.
12 people within 5 strokes of each other. That literally could have been anyone's game that day.
Well, we were talking about it in our group. We said we were going through and we were talking. We were on the last hole, and was it Tyler that was in my group that ended up losing? Yeah. So he had 2 putts. Two putts, and he's like, this one's for the win, he said on 10, and I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. I was like, because it's probably gonna be like 83, 84 is probably gonna, I would guess, in this weather. Well, he missed that one, and then he made his next one for his 85, and then I remember seeing him after, and he's like, yeah, I'm going out for a tiebreaker, and I'm like, oh no way, you have to go out in a playoff? I was like, so all you had to do was make that one stroke, right? But there's one where I know you talked to Alvin later about that, not knowing the rules for some people, because that freaking green on number 10 was basically there was a lake on there, and I was able to get a birdie because I put mine to within 8 inches, and I'm like, well, basically unmissable at that point. But everybody else had to more or less putt through water,
Right.
you
So
go,
you get relief from that. And that's just knowing the rules. And I had a couple people get really pissed off at me that day, but it's not my job
no, it's the
to
player's job
make
to know.
sure that you guys are educated on the rules. If you're signing up for tournament golf, you should know the rules.
100%.
And yeah, is temporary water is now what they call it, not casual anymore, but is temporary water relief something that you know what to do? I literally, like, if you guys, man, when that shotgun went out, I got a phone call from the first group that hit 4 green, and he goes, he's like, so the hole is in the lowest part of the green, and we we don't know what to do. Like, everyone's putting through water, and there's no relief to be taken because the lake is surrounding the hole. I had to get on the horn with the superintendent that morning. We changed 3 pins
Oh,
before
really?
anyone even, yes. Like, I've never also had to do that at a tournament before. And it was just, the grounds crew, bless their hearts, just, maybe didn't realize that it was like a stroke play tournament. Maybe they thought it was just like a scramble situation, but you can't put pins in low places when the forecast is that it's going to be pouring for the whole day, because the greens are just not at a maturity point yet where they're draining well. And there
Well,
was a lot of pooling at the very start and the very end when it was still pissing rain. There was pooling on every single green, and people didn't know that you do get line relief if you're putting through temporary water. So
no, that
yeah,
makes sense.
that's one of the rules.
Oh yeah,
And also,
that's
just
experience.
because this has been, and I hate correcting people on this because I hate being corrected on it, but both of you, because I've listened to the podcasts that you've done after your rounds, both of you are guilty of this. And
Uh-oh.
Alvin, you just did it, and that's what reminded me of it. A lateral hazard is not OB. They are not the same thing. They are not
That's
interchangeable terms.
yes,
You
that's a fair point.
you cannot go OB right on 11. There is OB left on 11,
That's
but there
correct.
is no OB right on 11. There's just our little forest fescue lateral. So OB and lateral
Yeah, well, the
hazard are
different, yeah.
not interchangeable terms.
It's
That's
okay if our Marshall Clark was here, he'd be all over us because he's like you're OB over there. He's like, you either have to go 3 off the tee or you take a drop for 4 on the fairway up there.
Yes,
We're
and
like,
it is-
yes,
and
Clark,
it is kinda funny
okay.
that we do have- He
you
should have
do
should
you
have
do
an
use those
armband
terms
on.
interchangeably, because Chris, when you were talking, I can't remember which one. I want to say it was maybe Strathmore, on your round recap, and you're like, and I went OB, and I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, I've played it now.
Did
There's
I?
no
No,
OB
no,
on
you're right.
that
I
hole.
was. It wasn't OB. It was into a
Yeah.
hazard. You're right. Yeah. We do sometimes mistakenly say that.
But
without
okay,
even-
so here's the one where I'm not going to correct. The one that I hate being corrected on is you just use the term hazard. That is, if you say that in front of, I was going to say rules official. They're not rules officials, referees. If you say that in front of a referee, you will get corrected because they are only called penalty areas now, not hazards. But I don't actually care. Hazard and penalty area, we know what you mean. But OB and lateral, just your options for relief are very different. So
Yes.
that's why I like to make sure we understand there's a difference in those two terms. That's all.
Well,
But
and
yes.
it's funny because when we played Mickelson, like I remember getting to the first screen with my group, and I want to say every single one of us 3 or 4 putted because the greens were so fast, even though they were soaking wet. Like I was putting balls on the practice screen, and I looked at Alvin, and I'm like, there is no human way that these should be this friggin' fast. I was like, it is soaking wet out here. I'm like, they're faster than Desert Bloom is when it's completely warm. It was crazy how quick those greens were that day.
They
But it was
are
fun.
always like that, just so you know, even when
No,
it's,
well,
actually, when
that's
it's nice,
good.
it's even faster.
I would expect that when it's nice out. I did not expect that when it was like that, like so much rain and wet out there.
It was nice to get the complimentary round too.
Yeah, yeah.
That was that, like, can we just give an additional shout out to Mickelson for that? They did not need to do that. For anyone who isn't aware, because of the shitty weather that we had that day, Mickelson gave everybody in the tournament a complimentary round. And the vouchers don't even expire till the end of next year, and they're supposed to go private next year. So like,
Yeah,
It's
so-
all. It's
how
awesome.
cool! Like
It's
just
awesome.
like
Grab mine.
so cool. Oh, there it
Well,
is.
there was a
Except
couple of
yours,
different
yours
ones.
says Monday to Thursday though.
Mine
doesn't
says
it?
an out of town one that says Monday to Thursday, and Chris's says anytime.
Hey,
So-
it's not my fault. She likes me more than you.
So I was like, "Are you playing favorites here in the group? Like how does this work? Like I can't."
She
get
was
up
so she was so busy going out for the playoffs. She probably didn't
Well,
even
and
know.
the lineup of everyone coming in to give scorecards, and as much as I love shotguns because we can get more people out there, I hate them because it's so hard to get scores entered and find out if we have a playoff. So I'm asking everyone and trying to mentally remember, okay, this flight is at this number, this flight's at this number, and like it was a zoo. It's a zoo coming in to get your
It was
scorecard. It's a
actually,
zoo
yeah.
That was
going
a zoo.
like everything. It's just a little too chaotic for being like a one-man show. So I like shotguns, but they are difficult.
But yeah, it was for us. I mean, again, still,
We were really looking forward
we
to playing there.
That was, and we weren't disappointed when we literally drove in the parking lot. It was like, holy shit, this is like a next level type of
Experience.
experience
Yeah.
for us, right? Like,
Yeah.
even
Like
the
the
practice.
door, the front door.
The front
The
door, the
biggest door
the
you've
halfway
ever
houses. The halfway houses were incredible.
Okay,
Like
can
so
we
nice.
touch on that podcast for just a moment? Because I've now repeated I've repeated what Alvin has said to multiple people at this point. Alvin, do you remember a direct quote of what you said?
Probably not.
Comfort stations offered.
No, I do. I mean, it was true though. Like the bathrooms were like, I've never had a bathroom on a golf course like that ever in my life.
Your hand is like this right now, by the way. 'Cause
That's literally the only thing that was missing. Like I walked in and the lights, there's no shadows in the bathroom. Like literally, like there's like, I'm like, where the hell am I? Like the only thing that's missing is some guy over there handing you a towel and like, do you need a dangle or anything? Like I was like, this is crazy. But again, for us, it's never experienced anything like that. I was going to talk about the practice facility, not necessarily the bathrooms, but I'm glad you brought it up anyways. It's like the halfway houses. I said it. The halfway houses that they had there are better than any clubhouse we have in Medicine Hat, for Christ's sake.
It's true.
yeah, they're unbelievable. And
They're-
they've got like, I don't know if you experience this part, but they've got like a water fountain where you can refill your own water jug. And I don't know if you got taquitos that day, but they have taquitos and they are like the best. Like
Did not, but maybe next time.
Over hot dogs. Like I'm over the potential dry bun. I'm over like I'm done with hot dogs, especially by August. I've had too many throughout the summer. Yeah, taquitos, man. Like they were the best. They heat, like they go on the roller with the hot dogs. So like they're hot, they're not microwaved.
Nice.
And it's like the best. It's a perfect golf course snack. So yeah, the taquitos. Pro tip for next time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And there will be a next time because
There will be a next time.
Well, I mean,
we haven't even made the schedule, and we know that event's going to be on our schedule.
Well, I mean, the launch pad facility. You're talking about their practice
like the
facility.
practice
I mean,
facility.
the launch pads are always nice. I was lucky enough. I played Heritage Point, not this summer, but last summer, and we got to play out there. And they have the same thing, the launch pad and the whole 9 yards. And it's just a nice warm up practice facility to use, right? I like their
you
little.
feel like you're at Top Golf, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like you're a tour player or something.
One day.
You know what I mean? It's like, wow.
You are. You have a bag tag that says tour player on it,
And you know what? I've shown that to some people that I've played with just because I'm rubbing it in. It's like, you know what? Fuck all y'all.
I play on tour.
I said that at work. We were having a scrum and there was some customers there and I was like, well, I'm a fucking amateur athlete now, guys. I got to look after myself. So I went for a massage today, actually, like just before this podcast. And I've never done that before. Like this is probably my third one, like in the last few months. And it's like a total game changer. And I'm like, well, I'm a fucking amateur athlete now. I got to make sure I look after this, this temple that I have here.
Yeah.
And chiropractors, and gyms, and I was like, yeah, amateur athlete, gotta take care of it at 50 years old.
Exactly. Lean into it. You've got benefits for a reason. Use them.
Yeah, hell yeah. I was, but again, that's I'm actually concerned about because our golf season is ending now in a few weeks, and the winter is going to be very long.
Oh, we got that horrid email the other day about close
And
dates.
the exercise, because we walk the golf course now, and um,
Oh, I even said yesterday, like when we played at night, because we played around, and I said to him, because I haven't been playing much, because I mean September fires up, and I coach volleyball, and then I coach for 9 months, and it's just I don't get as much golf as I'd like. But I said to Alvin, I was like, I miss the golf, but I miss the walks more. Like I miss being
Yeah.
out to get out there and get around the course
it was
and walk
one of
and
the
just
things I wanted to do this year was walk the course more and be able to walk 18 and be competitive for the 18, not like you know running dry going up 15, 16, and not being able to finish the round. And when
Hey,
when it's,
here's a suggestion, maybe a feedback also. I'm considering, I mean, in my current physical state, some things are questionable. For those who don't know, I blew out my knee playing volleyball. But I'd love to take people through, and again, I might not be able to participate as much as I would normally do, but take you through what I do in an off season. How I start with certain strength training and things like that, and start, getting stronger and more flexible, bigger, like larger range of motion, things like that. And then as we start getting into spring, I start working on flexibility over strength a little bit more. So the beginning of the off season is definitely more of like a strength building thing. And then we still maintain our strength in the spring, but we're looking to start increasing flexibility and whatnot
it's
at
one of
that
the things
time.
I've
So that
actually
when you get into the season, you can all of a sudden walking the 18 holes isn't a shock to your system because you've been staying with this other routine throughout the whole winter, and the golf swing isn't a shock to your system because you've been staying mobile and doing some
we
training
definitely we
movements
want to
and
play in a simulator league this winter because we took last winter off and we noticed the difference.
Mhm.
At least swinging the clubs once a week, but there has to be something else on top of it. Like I'm not going to go and walk 4 hours 2 or 3 times a week on a
No one's gonna
treadmill
do that.
just to get my
Exactly.
4 hours in, right? So
I spend enough time in a gym. I'm okay.
yeah, right. You're fine. I'm not, right? I'm still out of shape.
I spend like 10 hours a week in a gym. I'll be fine.
But I'm looking for that. Like even on Instagram, I'm saving these videos that are like these little workouts that you can do, and I have to try and get some sort of a workout program for the winter that keeps
Well,
me.
maybe that'll give me something to do content wise. I mean, again, I'm one-legged at the moment, but I can always do what I can do. I gotta somehow be able to golf in less than 2 months.
Hey, you'll get there. I had less than that. I tore my Achilles in May, and I was golfing by June, end of June. Yeah, I think it was like
There's a video on our
I think it was
Instagram
end of June. I told my wife I was going to the golf course, and I was sitting in the cart. Somebody decided to take a video and post it that I was hitting balls on the driving range, and she just looks at me like this, and I'm like, "What?" I was like, "You didn't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about."
Wasn't he? Wasn't
And
me.
that was it. After that, I was back golfing.
That's
Nobody said it
awesome.
was good, but I was at least, like the guy said today that we ran into that had the torn Achilles. He's like, "What am I supposed to do? Sit at home?" He's like, "I can get around now, so why not?"
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm still in the tough to get around stage. I took 3,000 steps yesterday and the day before.
How long they say your
And
recovery was?
I still need to see the sports med doc this week because we aren't sure. We know that it's ACL, we just aren't sure to what degree.
Well, I just had a girl basically have no ACL left in her knee. They said they are waiting for an MRI to confirm. They said 9 months recovery time.
Yeah. And that's
So
where I'll
hopefully
be
yours
if
isn't as bad.
Yeah, I'm still holding out hope that it's a sprain, but the lack of range of motion says otherwise.
Hey, I mean, we'll get you all kinds of stickers and bells to put on your wheelchair as you're rolling around at all the events this coming year. It's all good.
Can we get her one of those like blue flags that they put on the cars?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely,
Is
we
that way
could.
you can drive up close to
Yep.
the green then?
Yeah, for
Perfect.
sure.
Handicap flag all the
So
way.
next next season, or yeah, next season. So
When do you start prepping for your schedule for next season?
yeah, that's a good
Well,
question.
I've got half the season booked.
Nice.
Yeah, I went on a bit of a tear actually in between Mickelson and Championship and booked half the season. And now I'm just putting some feelers out there for some of the private club stuff and seeing what we can do there. And I need to change up one of the majors. So
Hey, you come down here. Come
it's an
down here.
option. Actually,
I'll,
I asked people during championship if they were interested in maybe a 2-day event at Medicine Hat, not at Desert Bloom, probably the country club if we can make that work this
Cam would be
time.
all over that.
So we'll see. We'll see. I still haven't had a chance to send out that email because this knee situation happened. But yeah.
I'll tell you what, I mean, having played every course in the city, I mean, I like Desert Bloom. Like, it's not a bad
Yep.
course, but I still say that Medicine Hat is the best golf course or like Medicine Hat Golf and Country is the best golf course in
We
Medicine
have
Hat.
played every course around this area more than
More than our fair share.
and Medicine Hat is by far my favorite to go to now. Medicine Hat used to be very intimidating first when we started playing.
It used to be break 100 day when we went
It used
there
to be
for
break
Alvin.
100 day, right? But now the game has developed to where, yeah, you know what, I can get around Medicine Hat pretty good. I'm not going to go into bashing Connaught, but you know, I like Desert Bloom. I haven't played Redcliffe this year though.
Yeah, I've got out there a bunch. I mean, Redcliffe is nice for like because it's open.
It's very casual.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Strathmore actually. But the greens are slower. And I mean, it's not a bad, and it's on the riverbank. So I mean, it can be, if you go out there on a day where it's windy at all, there's what 7, 8, and 9 on the front are hell. Like they have a long par 3 as number 8, and there are days I think from the second furthest back tees, I want to say it's 180 or 185 yards. Like that's usually a 7-iron for me, and there are days where I have to hit like a 5-wood to try and get it there because it's so bloody windy.
It's usually windy out there all the time.
But I mean, that's a nice course too. But yeah, we have played everywhere, and I gotta say, like I mean, they have the whole package there. I mean, you know, I don't know what you felt at Desert Bloom, but Desert Bloom, I mean, we didn't even know the event was coming there if we weren't on the tour. I mean, there was no. It didn't seem like they were overly excited to have that event there. I mean, that's just kind of what I've seen. So, I can speak pretty highly that Medicine Hat, if they were going to get it, they'd be advertising to their members for sure.
Dude, I'm already
in
people's ear about playing on this tour next year.
Oh yeah, everybody we see or everybody we play with, we tell.
Again, I'd like to have some more of my pals or some more of my golf buddies come and play on this tour as well. So, again, competing against each other, but competing on the tour too. That's what it's all about, right? And so
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys, I mean, like you saw it even from like event 1 to event 2, how like you were talking about just seeing the familiar faces and whatnot. Like I'm sure a lot of people, if they've never played before, they see me post on Instagram and I talk about it being a family and stuff like that, and they probably think I'm just being cheesy, but like you can't make that up. Like
I just find for myself, like the more people you talk to it about, the more foreign it seems to them. It's like, well, we play on this amateur tour called the Alberta Golf Tour, and it's like, you know, it would be perfect for you if you wanted to play tournament golf to go play it. And people look at me like, well, why would I play tournament golf? Well, why wouldn't you play tournament golf?
Yeah, well, what's the point of the point of playing a sport if you're not going to try and
every 3 or 4
challenge
weeks
yourself
every week, and you don't get into something like this? Like my competitive nature, I've had a competitive nature since I was very young, and when I go at something, it's like, well, now can I take another level at this? Like, so when we did our tour, even from the time we started our Mulligans and Hackers tour 4 years ago, in one of our first events we brought up Alberta Golf Tour. It's like, one day we're going to play on that tour.
Yeah.
We're going to go and get that experience because that's going to be the next level of what we do, right?
I remember talking about that, and I'm just like, dude, we're not ready yet.
It was on hole number 3. It was on the tee box on hole number 3, and I'm like, you hear that? You see that Alberta Golf Tour thing? And Then we started chatting about it. I was like, we're going to fucking do that one day. Yes, we are. When we get better at this sport, we're going to do that.
But it's just having the confidence to put yourself out there, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you run it so well that, I mean, you don't have to be like, if you're in the D flight, I mean, it's all net scores,
Yeah.
or
And you're
yeah,
like 14 to 28
yeah.
handicaps.
So
you don't
everybody
have
has
to be
everybody has a
good.
chance, right?
Yeah.
You just
And I've been putting this out there to more ladies as well, like especially like through the podcast and through social media. It's like, you should get out and do this stuff too, because it's a way to get more friends on the golf course, a way to challenge yourself more in the game, and just get that experience. I mean, I'll go back to it. I'll say it. First time I walked down the parking lot at Desert Bloom and the tent was there and the flags were there. I'm like, this is so fucking cool, right? And I'm not trying to be cheesy or anything like that, but it's like, this is going to be a blast. And I was already like, I don't care if I play well or not, but like, this is another experience, right? And that's where us being in the game where we are now. That's all we're looking for, is more experiences, different experiences in golf, right?
Yeah.
We played our
Totally.
first club championship this year. Like, never done that before.
Yeah.
That was an experience. That was fun, right? And scrambles. Like,
But that probably would have been incredibly different too, had you not had a couple of reps on the AGT this year too, right? Like, just the more reps that you can get in competitively,
the better.
more relaxed you're gonna feel in those situations. And crazy shit happens, like the rain. Like, look at you, Alvin, between Strathmore and Mickelson, like Strathmore, and then going out and actually voluntarily practicing in the rain by yourself. Like look at the difference there. Like, that's growth as an athlete, as an amateur
yes,
athlete.
as an amateur athlete, that's growth. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, growth and experience.
You know?
Well, it's just nice to see, right? I mean, I'm totally hooked on tournament
Yeah.
golf. Like,
It's
it's
very addicting. It is
It-
so
Well,
addicting.
and when you're
After our
compa-
first event, we're like, we got to do another one.
When
we
you're
have
co-
to do another one.
when you're competitive, and I'm incredibly competitive, and I mean, sometimes like my athletes are like, oh, I don't know if you're really competitive, coach. I'm like, but there's a process to what we're trying to do. I am absolutely competitive, but I also know our limitations, and I know when it's time to push hard and be competitive, and I know when it's time not to be. But when I'm in an individual sport where I can control what I can control for me, I'm just like, yeah, I want to play the best I can play that day. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, the best today might be 80, and the best tomorrow might be a 90. You just don't know what's happening. But you go out there and you try and play well. I want to. I mean, for us, we've basically turned it into a competition now. Who's going to get the first win on the tour, right? Like that's what's driving us.
We talk about goals and stuff like that. And you asked me on one of the previous podcasts, like, what's a goal for next year? And I'm like, goal for next year is to get a W on the AGT.
Yeah,
that's actually a goal, right? It's like,
Love it. I
you know
love
what
that.
I mean? Of course. Well, yeah, I'd like to win. I'd like to win the Mulligans and Hackers Cup
eventually
one year.
here.
That would be awesome, but I'm running out of years here. But again, I win on the AGT, man. That would be great. And we were actually competing again points on the AGT because we played 3 events, and I was leading for a while. And I'm not going to lie to you, when I was in the lead in points overall,
You talked
because
a lot of
I
shit.
talked a lot of smack.
Mhm.
I
I heard it.
talked a ton of smack. Like, you heard some of it. You didn't hear what was going on here behind the scenes on the golf course, at work, with our friends. You heard nothing.
Wow.
Because
See,
I
that was
talked
like
a ton of
Siwoo
shit.
Kim doing this. Like, did you see Steph Curry's reply to the
No,
video?
I didn't see that. I seen him do it, but I didn't see the reply.
Yeah, Steph Curry replied, I appreciate the love or something like that, but you got to know the score and the time left in the game or something, because he ended up losing the match.
Well, with Alvin, it's
Like-
funny because he was just giving me the gears, and I'm like, dude, we still got an event left. Like,
And you know what?
and if you give me fuel that you don't need to give me, is the worst possible thing you can do.
And again, so after the Bloom, after Strathmore, I was still in the lead. And when
Yeah.
I took that 11 on the last hole, I'm like, that fucker is going to fucking jump ahead of me. It was in my head as I was hitting, like as I was walking off the green, I'm like, that fucker is going to beat me in the overall standings. I fucking can't handle this.
Gotta
Well,
know the score and the time left in the game, man.
Right? The funniest part is, like, going back to Desert Bloom. I mean, you played really well, and I didn't have a good day. But it's funny because we were on 15, and I was looking at the scorecard, and I'm like, man, we're close. Like I'm still in this thing even after having some shit holes. And then I had a bad hole 50, and I'm like, well, I'm basically out of it now. And I think I finished 1 or 2 points behind you in the Stableford. But I said to you, I'm like, dude, you have a real. I think you got a real chance to win this thing. Like I kind of expected it to be. I'm like, wouldn't that be something winning on your first time out? But
Yeah, that would've been
I mean, it's just like you to be always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
fuck this game.
Oh no.
But anyways,
Ah.
thanks, Leah, for joining us. It's been a pleasure, as always. We'll do it again, maybe as a prep to
Well,
2025.
yeah. Wait, you should when you're ready to release the schedule, let us know. We'll have you
Yeah.
on.
We'll do a little schedule release thing, and maybe we'll do some like top 10 rules that you might not know about. Not just you, but like the
That's a great
listeners.
idea.
Yeah, if you ever want to
Because
do anything,
it breaks
for
my
the
heart.
AGT
It
and-
breaks my heart to watch people think they have to putt through a fucking puddle, man. Like
Hey, if
it
you
can't be everywhere at once.
if you don't, I mean, because I know you guys used to have an AGT podcast, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're ever wanting to do any podcasting or put out anything, reach out to us. We're more than happy to have you on and do stuff.
Yeah. Well, and maybe we can the part of why I stopped was it's kind of boring hosting your own by yourself. I didn't really have a co-host, but like maybe you guys can co-host with me on some interviews because you might have different questions for different people. I've got the inner circle of all these really, really talented juniors that are out there that we need to get back on the pod.
I was
And
actually I reached out to the UFC, I think, and said that if you have any juniors that want to do like get into the podcast world and talk about the game, we would be more than willing to talk to them, right? And we could do that for the AGT.
Well, there's one for the UFC that's from here, Sam Bradfold.
Oh, there you go.
He won the Connaught Championship. He's a really good golfer.
nice.
But yeah, I think there's a path forward
Yeah.
for us to do our thing. As again, I will continue, but I think
Yeah.
there's a path forward for us doing stuff for the AGT as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for having me, guys, and thanks for joining the tour this season.
Well, thanks
Hopefully,
Thanks
for
hopefully, like,
having us.
everything
Thanks for
that
getting
you
us
like
hooked
built
in.
up in your minds. I was nervous when we did our first podcast. I guess Chris, you weren't there for that one, but like I felt like you guys had built this up so much that I was like, holy shit, what if we don't deliver? Like what if this isn't everything they think it's gonna be? But it sounds like
It was and more.
So
we had pretty open, like we were open minded going into it, and we knew from following past seasons and you on your social media that it was, I mean, we knew it was going to be awesome.
Well, you've been doing it for what, a dozen years?
yeah, this was
Right.
the
So
12th season.
I mean, you're doing something.
Lucky 13 next year. So
You're doing something right. So
And we'll try and not bring any rain with us wherever we go. I mean, if you come
I
down
don't know,
here,
do-
if you come down here, I mean, you probably won't get too much rain. Just saying.
Yeah,
just
he's
do
really
like
fishing.
a-
He's really
a
fishing to come
Sundance.
back down here.
There's got to be like a Sundance or something that we can do. I bet you there's some cultural stuff there because I mean, there's like the world's largest teepee and everything.
It's
like,
this
there's gotta
guy.
be.
This I really truly believe it's this guy that brings the rain. He hates it so much it just comes down for him.
Well, it sounds like he's embraced it now.
Yeah, so maybe that'll
Right.
change.
It's a
A
good,
little bit of personal
maybe-
growth.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yes, because you're an
and
athlete.
golf growth. Growing in the game.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Being a fair weather golfer is not always so much fun.
Well, anybody can go out there and golf when it's nice. What do you do when the conditions get
You
tough?
go home.
No, you don't. You just dig in.
You go home, or you do what I do. The cart cover, like I was good that day.
So
And
was
actually, didn't Ian
so
and
was the
Laura
girl.
have-
So was the group
Yeah.
we were playing with.
Laura-
They
Yeah.
were.
Yeah,
They had
yeah.
it all down, and I literally I felt bad for them, and I don't usually feel bad for people at all. But I was kind of like I was a miserable grouch, and that's not really Yeah, okay.
You're Oscar the Grouch
that
on a
is-
normal
You were
day, so
you
come
were
on
I
now.
was
Oscar
10
that
times
day.
worse that day. I came off as yeah. You know what? I don't even want to be here. I don't want to play golf anymore.
We could see like by the time I found you guys on the back nine, we could see our breath. Like
Well,
the
yeah, 'cause you-
temperature dropped so much.
You said you guys that the horn went off like 20 minutes
20,
early or
yeah,
something
at
like that.
least.
So we played like a hole and a half, two and a half holes. It would have just made my heart so warm if you had finished that event because Alvin basically just self withdrew on number 11, and I just like, yeah, here it comes. I was like, here he's done.
Oh, I should just go adjust his order of merit points to 0 for WDing
Doesn't
before
matter.
the
I lost
tournament got
again anyways.
called.
So I lost. Again,
Uh,
I had to eat crow on that one.
yeah, it was good. But no, we're pretty excited about next season.
Yeah,
So
we're looking for, again, getting the schedule and kind of wrapping our heads around what events we want to do. I mean, Chris is probably going to do all of them because that's just who he is. I
I'll do a
probably
lot.
won't, but
That's, you know what? That Blair does that, Chris Nelson, like, and that's, I mean, that's how you get into like the top 10 of the top 32.
Oh no, top three next year.
I like that.
If
two-
you're
no,
gonna do
you
it,
know
go
what?
big.
No, if you're gonna do it, you might as well just get top 2 so that you're a captain of a President's Cup team.
Oh, that would
Number one and
challenge.
number
I won't
two.
pick you. I'll put you on the opposite team.
Number 1 and number 2 are captains. So don't go top 3. If you're gonna go that high, you gotta go top 2. You
if
gotta
we
be a
do make
captain.
if we do make like the top 32,
Is it the
is it
top 32?
Top 32.
Yeah, top 32. If
I was
the
gonna say, I
captains are
thought
picked,
Blair made it, but
the mission,
did
the
not.
message going out will be: we cannot play on the same team.
What do you mean? We would be an elite scramble team, buddy.
Yes, we would, but I don't. I want to kick your ass.
We don't do scramble though. It's not one of the formats.
What formats is it?
We do, so the front 9 is best ball.
Nice.
And then the back 9 is alternate shot. That's day 1. And then day 2 is 18-hole singles.
Nice.
So little
Yeah.
taste of everything, just a very condensed version of what we had
Alternate
this
shot
weekend.
sucks.
Yes,
Yes.
we do not compete well.
It's
in
less. So I have different I guess rules around where the captains can pick partners on their own team. Well, first, when they're picking their team, I separate all 32 people who qualified. So I need all my 32 yeses first. I get their updated handicaps, and then I separate them into brackets, and they need to pick a specific number of players from each of these brackets. So say there's 8 and 8, well, I guess 4 groups of 8, and they each have to have 4 from each of those groups so that the teams are pretty balanced. And then when we're picking partners cannot be typically more than like 6 or 7 strokes, handicap strokes apart, because we don't want like this weird, crazy like, especially when you're looking at alternate shot, like a champ flighter does not want to play alternate shot with a D flighter.
Yeah, that'd be a little difficult.
Yeah. And so with that, we have different rules. And then once we have all the partners, then we also have rules where like, you can only, if you're in the top bracket, you can only play against the second bracket. The second bracket can play against 1 or 3. 4 can only play against 3. Like, it's, so you can't have too big of a handicap.
That makes sense.
Because
So-
no one wants to be giving all these strokes, especially on day 1 when it's only 9-hole matches. Like, if you gave 5 strokes in 9 holes,
It's
we had
over.
one match this year that had to do that. And actually, I'm pretty sure the ones who had to give the strokes still ended up winning that one somehow. But like, it no one wants to give that many strokes. So yeah,
Where
there's
is
a
your
bunch of
pres-
different
or-
rules.
Where is your President's Cup this year?
So I still haven't officially booked it. Last year we gave Wolf Creek a try. We wanted to see if it was, because I don't know how long it got ignored when it was in receivership before Golf North bought it. It's, I don't know, are you aware of Wolf Creek? Like, it's a pretty iconic design. It's got a lot of history. PGA Tour has been there and things like that. A Rod Whitman design. So like same guy as Cabot, for example. So, but yeah, they were still kind of in repair mode. So the greens were really slow when we were there. But we've had a couple players go throughout the season here, and I've asked for kind of updates on what their conditions were like. And with the exception of one little spot on one hole, everything is pretty pure. So I think we're going to give them another shot probably next year. It's nice and central too, which is nice for the Calgary and Edmonton people anyways. Medicine Hat's always going to have to, well, it's like Blair driving
that's
from
just
Irma
normal.
all the time. So Yeah, it'll
we,
be
we're called the Forgotten Corner for a reason, and
yeah,
we embrace that.
That's okay.
that's okay.
It's
That's
not that far
okay.
away from Calgary. It's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, probably Wolf Creek, but that's still to be determined. So we'll see.
Well, we're looking forward to that schedule release, that's for sure. So we can start planning our tour dates for next year. Looking
Yeah,
forward
for
to it.
sure. Yeah, play well at majors and play in championship. Those are my two. I've got guys like, for example, that's what Mark Leach did. Where did Mark end up? He played, yeah, like he's the only person, I shouldn't say the only, he's the only person inside the top 20 who played less than 6 events. He only played 4, and he ended up in 18th on the order of merit. And so he
Oh.
played the 3 majors and championship. Those are his 4. And that's just how play well at majors and champs and you get the points. He ended up winning one major. Oh, sorry, I lied. He only played 1 major and then 2 single. He was at Desert Bloom because he's from Lethbridge, so it was closer for him. Yeah, he won Copper Point. He got 3rd place at Desert Bloom. He won Water Valley, and then he ended up in a playoff with my kid again for the 2nd year in a row at championship. He made the sickest birdie on the 18th hole. So Tyler was up by 2 on the 18th tee box there. And it's like, okay, you just got to like get out of here with a par. And 18 at Wildstone is a it's a 520-yard par 4 for them.
Oh,
Like a fucking long hole.
you crush a driver and you still got a wood going in.
Yeah, like I was playing with Cody in the final round. He hit driver off the tee, and so it's a dog leg right, and he hit it a little bit to the left. He still had 300 into the green on his second shot.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, very, very long par 4. Tyler hits the most beautiful drive. He's right in the middle of the fairway. Mark's a little right of the fairway. And I'm like, well, this is just like easy, right? Like Tyler just hits the green, 2 putts, makes his par, and wins this tournament. Tyler ended up short in the bunker and like against the lip of the bunker, like that much room with like a pretty high lip on it. And I'm walking with the other Champ Flight guys that had just finished in the group in front of them. And I'm like, guys, like, I'm not as good as you. Like, I wouldn't be able to get that ball out, but like, do you think he can get that ball out? They're like 5% chance. Like, there's no fucking way he can get that up fast enough. And I'm like, oh my God. And then Mark goes next and throws a dart to like 3 feet. On a 520-yard hole, he's got 3 feet for birdie.
That's awesome.
My kid's probably hitting the lip coming out of this bunker. And I'm like, oh my God. My kid somehow puts it to like 4 feet. I don't know how the hell he hit that shot, but he got it out, put it to 4 feet. And at Wildstone, you got to be careful where the valley is. And so he was off by like 1 inch on his read. He missed his par putt, made bogey. Mark makes birdie. And all of a sudden the 2-stroke lead is gone and they go to a playoff. And it was all just on that last hole. It was wild. But yeah, anyway, the point is that you can play as little as 4 events if your name is Mark Leach and you get 1st, 3rd, 1st, and 2nd at everything. And it's an easy way to get in, but you got to be at the top of your flight in pretty much every event.
Well, that's a goal. That's a goal for us next year is to get in that top 32 for 2026.
2025.
Oh,
well, 2026 President's Cup.
We still call it, well, it still technically will be the 2025 President's Cup. It just gets played in 2026. So my years end up getting really skewed. So like in May, we're still playing the 2024 President's Cup. It only got shifted because there was a snowstorm one year in September that snowed us out and we didn't get to play it. It got pushed to the March. And what I noticed, I'm a big energy person. In case you can't tell at events, I like to put out good energy and whatnot. I yell at you in the email and then I want to make sure that I'm nice in person.
You don't yell.
Oh, I see it.
There's like bold and caps lock and underline.
Yes, there's intensity in those emails, especially about pace of play. Just saying.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, so then the energy of people when we were forced to because of the weather, shift it to the following spring. Everyone in September is so freaking burnt out. And all the people that qualified played the most, right? So like they've been traveling around all summer and they're just kind of checked out. And but in May, you haven't golfed in like 6 months, 7 months, and you're so excited and you just want to get back into it. And all of a sudden, I went from struggling to find 32 to the point where I had to drop it down to 24 in September to like, no problem. I get my 32 in the spring and everyone's happy. So, and I'm happier too when I don't have to like desperately beg people to play in a team event like that because it's so much fun. Why am
Yeah,
I begging people to play in an event like that?
we actually played
match play.
match play in one of our events this
Yeah.
year for the first time. That was a blast.
That was
It is
different, man.
so much fun. You know what? Watching it this weekend, like it just brings back all the feels like that. We're not televised, obviously, nor are we professional golfers, but like it just I can only imagine anyone that was in any of our President's Cups, like just the feeling and just how they reminisce like, oh my god, yeah, I made that 40 footer on so and so on that hole. Like you remember that shit. Match play is so different. Like you're playing one-on-one against someone. Like that's not usually it's you versus the course, and like match play is just not that. I love mind games, and I'm a woman, so I'm really good at them. So like I have won the match play major before, just saying. And I've gotten second place a few times as well. So match play is like my baby. I try not to play in President's Cup though, because I got to yell at people for pace of play.
Piece of play. Yeah, I knew exactly where you were going with that. But
Uh,
anyways, Leah,
All right.
I mean,
Thanks, guys.
this is like going to have to be like a two-part episode because we're going into almost 2 hours here. But
Yeah, we
As
talked for a while
expected.
before we started recording, but
we'll see how this plays out when it
Yeah.
comes to the time frame. But again,
yeah,
appreciate it.
exactly.
Always nice
Thank
to
you.
talk to you. Always nice to see you. And we'll do something down the road here.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
You bet. Thank you.